Those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it. George Santayana. Do you agree? Despite being a historian of all things, I do not fully agree with this quote. As I am always want to do, I will use classical history as an example. The Qin dynasty of China, 221–206 BC, and its single emperor chose to rule based on the practice of legalism, which is a government philosophy and arguably one of the perennial ideologies of Chinese civilization. Legalism, as opposed to Confucianism, supported total obedience to authority based on government position, as opposed to authority based on familial, clan ties. Essentially, it created the distinction between civic government and clan loyalty, and utterly championed the civic government. The first policy of the legalist ideology was the total demolition of entrenched Confucianism in government, which included but was not limited to mass book burnings of Confucian texts, massacre of Confucian scholars, and Year Zero ideology. Nothing before the Qin was allowed to exist. No old scholar, no old book, and no old government praxis. The result of this decade-long intellectual purge, in fact, largely had the intended effect. All of the old modes of Chinese government, of fractious warring dynasties, competing Chinese civilizations, or competing clan dynasties were crushed. There became only one Chinese civilization and one Chinese state, and that state was and only could be ruled by a heavenly appointed emperor. While the Qin dynasty fell after its 15-year reign in historicity, in practice the Qin dynasty remains to this day. Every following dynasty, every following government and emperor was not in fact ruling over a different nation than the Qin. Following the Qin dynasty to modernity, the same government has been in power, the only real difference being what emperor sits atop it as servant of Tian. Referring back to the question, the Qin dynasty, purposefully and violently, chose to forget the past. As a result, China was created, and just as there is now no chance of the abolition of the Chinese as a civilizational state, there is no chance for China to again fall into the division of contending civilizations. China forgot its past more than once, and if 2,200 years could be considered a long enough demo period, never repeated it. Other examples counter to this quote could be found in a rather glaring trend in theology, the fact that when a civilization or people convert to another religion, there is essentially no chance of them ever returning to the old mode of being. Christianity slowly and sporadically spread throughout the Roman Empire from the 250 onward, replacing the panoply of pagan, cult Semitic, and mystery religions which populated the empire. Such a vast amount of material was typically lost after the Christianization process of many pagan areas that, piecing together what on earth the actual religion was of these places, has confounded archaeologists and theologians for centuries. For instance, virtually all of the rites, scriptures, and ritual descriptions of these pagan religions have been lost without any remote chance of recovery, such to the point that despite many of these religions only truly dying out within the last 1,000 years have remained elusive. There is quite literally zero chance of ever reconstructing these religions to a point of coherence, such that a person could practice their orthodoxy. While there are minor localized exceptions, once a people group converts en masse to a new faith, the faith they will take afterwards has never been the previous orthodoxy. Even Jews, a group which prides their race on their prehistorical adherence to the God of Abraham, do not escape this trend. There is a period known to archaeologists before the formation of a single godhead in which the people who became Israelites practiced non-Abrahamic rites, or more simply, the notion of a monotheistic God had not been discovered yet. Even Judaism replaced something in the distant past, and will be replaced by something in the distant future. As all that has the nature of arising has the nature of ceasing, Judaism will almost certainly not be replaced by the select flavor of pre-Yubby-Wist Stone Age paganism which preceded it. Assuming, for instance, that there is some kind of second axial age of theology, 1,000 or so years hence, where all of the current world religions are deemed unsatisfactory for addressing the problems of modernity, the chances of these post-epic civilizations adopting our current understandings of Indo-European paganism is non-existent. They will find something new, or on the off chance they attempt to do something old, it will be unrecognizable. Perhaps it is indicative of myself, but I place the author of the opinion of the quote, "Those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it," as probably being of the opinion of the Whig view of history, which is to say that he believes that there is a continual progression of events, and that this progression is leading towards a definitive better endpoint. Remember the past how? Assuredly, this means to learn from it, but assuming one has the Whig view of history, which is that the progress of the world only has one direction, why worry? The end goal is either reached quickly or slowly, but suffice to say it is reached in due time. All failing to learn and repeating the mistakes of the past would do is apply the brakes on a one-way train. You aren't going backwards, simply remaining in place for longer. The only choice is to remain in place or move forward. What impetus does it have on somebody to actually learn when everything has already more or less been predetermined to happen? This is all riding on the back of a larger theoretical dialogue which posits that the primal and basic distinction between the right wing and left wing is that the left wing views history as linear, and the right wing views history as cyclical. Another essay for another time.